The point you've made over and over again, though, which I think is an excellent point, is, I mean, where the hell's Europe? They've got to step up and do it themselves. I mean, OK, you got this mad peace deal, which, as you said, is surrender. What are the Europeans doing to end this conflict?
Well, the best way to end the conflict is to give Ukraine enough firepower to inflict enough damage on Russia that it raises the cost of the war to Russia. Now, I absolutely agree. This has been a European failure as well as an American failure. But right now, America is not providing any money to Ukraine at all. It's barely doing more than Australia, which is doing nothing. And all that America is doing is selling weapons which the Europeans buy for the Ukrainians. So the Europeans are funding the whole lot. And also it provides intelligence, which allows Ukraine to target its weapons. Now, I absolutely agree. The Europeans have been derelict in not building their own defence industries. I mean, this war has been going for nearly 4 years, and it's obvious that the Western arsenal is bereft, whereas our enemies, Russia, China, North Korea and Iran, are restocking their arsenals at rapid rates. But this is a failure by the Europeans, I agree, but it is also Donald Trump at his very worst, because all he wants here is Ukraine to surrender so that he can say he's brought peace and gets a Nobel Peace Prize, and Trump and Putin, no doubt, helps him erect some Trump towers in Russia and so forth. It is a very slimy business, weakness by the Europeans and utter capriciousness by Trump.
Let's get an update on Gaza. We've got Israel launching what's been described as a major new counter-terrorism operation in the West Bank as opposed to Gaza. Raids, curfews, raids on multiple towns. How's the international community responding to that? Because I presume people like the UN will be very anti-Israel over that move.
Yeah, so I think Trump did much better with Gaza than he's doing with Ukraine, because he's got more investment in Israel, although it is the sad truth that nothing of the Gaza peace agreement has been implemented yet beyond the ceasefire. There's no international stabilisation force, no interim committee, nothing like that. In the West Bank, Israel's enemies are doing their best to establish a very strong terror network. So Iranian proxies, the old reconstituted ISIS and various others are trying hard to get terror networks going in the West Bank. Now, the West Bank citizens themselves, they've seen what's happened in Gaza, and they don't want that. They don't want that for their towns and their territories. We don't have tremendous detail yet on what information Israel had, which led to these latest raids in the northern part of the West Bank. But I would imagine that they'll be pretty time constrained. They'll be sort of in and out. But you would imagine that the usual suspects will condemn Israel in the expected way, I would imagine.
Greg, tell us about this very interesting book that the Australian newspaper News Limited have released. I know there was an event on in Sydney yesterday. It's a collection of the reporting, commentary on Australia's anti-Semitism crisis. I mean, so much has been written, so many great columns, so many great opinion pieces. I mean, this was a seismic shift in Australian society. Tell us what this book would mean to someone who had the time to sit down and read that.
Well, Steve, I'm very proud of The Australian. I've worked there for 42 years, and I think it's a great newspaper, and it's never been shown to better effect than in the response to what's happened in Australia since the terror attacks by Hamas in October 7. There has been both a worldwide and an Australian crisis of anti-Semitism. The Albanese government has been utterly derelict in its failure to confront this crisis of anti-Semitism. Hatred and prejudice and persecution of Australian Jews has been allowed to run in Australia. And the authorities have been very weak, really. The best of them has certainly been the New South Wales Premier. But this book is a collection of the best pieces that my colleagues have written over the last 2 years as we tried to grapple with this crisis in real time, in basic human solidarity with our fellow Australians, in a recognition of this global crisis of anti-Semitism, and in trying to understand the barbarity and the terror that Hamas brought, and what that means not only for Israelis, not only for Jews, but for all Australians and for all civilised people in the world. And it's titled, and it's based on the proposition in a piece by my colleague Paul Kelly that we are a different country now. These attacks have changed us. We are a different country from the one we were before October 7. Anti-Semitism has been given a licence in this country, and we at the Australian and all civilised people stand against that anti-Semitism.
The Australians done outstanding reporting right through that period. Greg Sheridan, thank you very much.